throwaway account for obvious reasons. Since I started high school, my parents stopped checking in on my grades, and their mentality was basically, we don't care as long as you get into a good university, and they've carried on this mentality to when I got into college, and they didn't really check on my grades and gave me free rein as long as I majored in the subject they wanted and graduated on time with good grades. Well, basically what happened was that I failed my first year and had to switch my major. I didn't tell them and they didn't ask, so I thought as long as I got my shit together and not drop out I'll be fine. One day out of the blue last semester my dad asked me to write up a resume. I panicked and wrote up a resume but changed the GPA and major and made up some shit and thought I saved myself. Well, this winter break my dad dropped it on me and told me he knows people in a big company, he gave them my resume and everything and wanted me to intern there. So I am fucked. They'll probably figure it out and let my dad know and I'll probably get disowned or something, and best case scenario they don't check and give me the job, and I have to live with the guilt that I got a job that I didn't deserve cause of nepotism. This shit is depressing as fuck and I'm typically an easygoing guy, but this whole ordeal is giving me anxiety like nothing else. I feel like an ass for failing and lying to my family about it, and now I'm on the verge of being blown, and I thought maybe making a post here will make me feel better, but I honestly don't know. Edit. Wow, this has blown up. In all my years of Reddit, the post that gets blown up is a confession post with a throwaway account. Talk about a wake-up call. Anyways, I try to read all the comments I can. Some of you tell me to play it off and fake it till I make it. Some of you tell me to come clean. Some tell me to just disassociate from my family and do my own thing. It seems Reddit is just as conflicted as I am. I don't know what I'll do, but I just want to say thank you to all that took the time to read and comment. This is going to be like waxing your ball sack. How closely related are your original and current majors? You're going to have to play it off. B. Watch the movie Catch Me If You Can to motivate you. Good luck. If you're going to stick with the lie, you should prepare yourself for a lot of questions like who teach you blah blah? Is pro blah blah still there? Did you go to blah blah place this year? Did you study blah blah? These questions would be asked randomly and mostly because they want to know you, not to test you or anything. They know your father as you say, so expect a lot of these questions, or you could just tell your father that you didn't want to let them down so you lied and #X200B. Just say you don't wanna do it and you're planning on changing your major. A couple years out of college I worked as an analyst at a pretty small private equity firm. The CEO was one of the biggest assholes I've ever met. He was fairly young, in his 40s, a multimillionaire, and the type of guy driven solely by money with zero business ethics. He'd do anything to get the upper hand in a deal regardless of who it screws over: contractors, employees. I even saw him seriously fuck over a long-time family friend of his without any remorse. Anyway, aside from my analyst role, as it was a really small business, only about 20 people in the office, and then a bunch of people working remote, I also happened to be one of the only semi-technology literate people in the company. So like many of my generation, I became the de facto millennial office computer guy, too. Despite my lack of qualifications, I got put in charge of handling pretty much anything minor tech related. Setting up servers, fixing laptop issues, answering, how do I convert this to PDF, questions, even basic network security. They thought I was some sort of computer genius, but really I was just mostly winging it, Googling pretty much everything. But eventually I got legitimately pretty good at all the tech stuff. They gave me bigger tasks like planning all of the computer systems for their own businesses, and supervising installs. I didn't get paid extra for any of this, mind you. After a couple years of serious bullshit working there, I was pretty worn out. I wasn't progressing. I hated working for Captain Douchebag. He treated everyone like shit. I was pulling 12 to 14 plus hour days with no overtime or performance bonus. And they weren't paying me nearly what they should have. I also hated being the tech guy and was depressed as fuck, basically living in a cubicle. So I decided I full on had enough of the 9 to 8 life working for assholes, and I would start my own consulting business working for myself. However, instead of quitting right away, I figured it would be smart to first build up my client base on the side while I was still getting a steady paycheck. So that's what I did. I launched my company, and landed my first clients. As the workload increased, I slowly started spending more and more time working on my side business while at my office job. At first I was pretty low-key about it. But eventually, it was blatant. As it was a super small company, I was the only one who knew how to do a lot of important tasks and operate some key internal systems. It was easy for me to tell my boss a project was taking a whole week to complete, that I actually finished in 10 minutes. Pretty soon I was spending 80% of my day working on my own stuff in the office. I'd even take calls from my side business clients at my desk. The rest of the time I was usually dicking around on Reddit or something. Of course, we had systems in place to monitor network activity. But I was the person in charge of monitoring it. This continued for a while. As my own business ramped up, I cared less and less about the office job. And since I hated waking up early, I began rolling into work late. At first it was only 30 minutes or so. Then it progressed to an hour. When my boss didn't reprimand me, it became clear how much they needed me there. I took full advantage of this. Before long I was arriving around noon, working for a couple hours, then heading home. My coworkers weren't happy, but I helped them with all of their tech problems and they hated the company too, so they kept their mouths shut about it. My boss eventually said something to me about all it at one point, but I just came in on time the next few days and then went back to coming in whenever I wanted. After more than 2 months of coming in 4 to 5 hours late, and working on my side business in full view of my asshole boss, I couldn't believe I wasn't fired yet. I deserved it and felt it was inevitable. On a hunch, I decided to do a little investigative work. As I was the tech guy, I also had full access to the company email server. So I logged into the CEO's personal email account, and searched for my name. Lo and behold, there was a recent email thread between him, my direct boss, and some other team members with my name in the subject line. Obviously I open it. They're discussing my recent performance issues. The last email in the chain basically said, if nobody has any objections, I will be terminating him at the end of the week. 2 days from then. I wasn't surprised, but I decided there was no way I was going to let these assholes fire me. Although I didn't give a shit about that job, I didn't want to have a termination in my work history. I also wanted to keep getting paid for a while longer. Of course, I couldn't let him know I actually knew I was getting canned. So, I formulated a plan to perform a little Inception reverse psychology mind fuck on the CEO. The next day, one day before they planned to fire me, I requested a meeting with him to discuss my current performance. In that meeting I sat down, and he asked me what I wanted to talk about. So I told him, paraphrased, look, I know I've been a shitty employee lately. I'm sure you've noticed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been kind of getting the feeling you guys are planning to let me go soon. When I said that, the shocked look on his face was priceless. He must have thought I was psychic to work that out on my own the day before it was going to happen. I remember him just saying something like, I continued while he sat flabbergasted. So I'll be honest with you, my heart isn't in this job anymore. As you know, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, which I'm sure you can relate to. I want to start my own company. However, as you're aware, I have a lot of responsibilities here nobody else can do. I then proceeded to list all of the things I did and projects I was working on. I could see it on his face when the realization sunk in of how screwed he'd be if I left suddenly. So here's what I propose. You don't fire me. I don't quit. I keep working here for a month, finish my current projects, and train whoever you want on everything I'm in charge of. After a month is up, I will continue to come in once per week until it's complete. After that, if you still need me, you can pay me on an hourly project-by-project basis. I intentionally mentioned the possibility of me quitting so he could feel like he won the negotiation, even though I technically had him by the balls. He paused to think for a minute, then said something along the lines of, okay. You have a deal. So, not only did I get myself unfired, I actually turned the company into a paying client. During that month, I continued doing pretty much whatever I wanted since I had an expiration date, while training my replacement as promised. After the month was up, they hit me up regularly for remote task work. I charged them triple what I was earning while working there, and barely had to deal with the CEO. My client base was big enough I dropped them for good. After all that, the CEO still calls me up for advice, questions nearly 3 years later. These days I just blow him off saying, sorry, I'm too busy. Edit. As it seems there's some doubt that this actually happened, it did, figured I'd clarify a few points. 1. This was a very small company. The office had about 20 people in it, and several dozen more worked remote. If you've never worked in a small office before, I can assure you it's pretty normal for employees to wear many hats and take on random roles outside their initial scope. It's also pretty normal for them to be severely lacking with network security and controlling passwords. 2. I did not become some computer genius, and never claimed to be, though my company of technology illiterate baby boomers sometimes thought of me that way. I had decent basic working knowledge coming into the job, and picked up more over the several years I was there. For anything complicated, like wiring, hardware installs, advanced networking tasks etc., we hired outside IT consultants. But I was the guy who would source them, hire them, supervise them and learn the systems they put in place. And I just handled more basic tasks myself. We're also not talking about enterprise-level security here either. 3. My consulting business has nothing to do with private equity. I am not going to reveal exactly what I do for privacy's sake since this blew up, but it's in marketing. I didn't steal any of my old company's clients when I left and don't compete with them. ****. 4. Yes, I am fully aware and admit I was an asshole, hence posting this in our confession. In fact, I decided to start my own company because I hate working for other people without my own skin in the game. I'm not a great employee when I don't care about what I'm doing. However, the guys running the company were pretty shitty people, and I did not feel that bad about it at the time. The thing I did have reservations about was snooping on the emails. I do not condone invading privacy like that. Hands clapping, congrats. This reads like it could have been an Office Space sequel. Hell yes bro, that's how you fucking do it. Is this a confession or a brag? I worked for a guy that matches every descriptor you used, and I'd like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.